I wanted to actually have a live stream today because I wanted to talk about what we did on Sunday. The week's kind of running together here. Got so many videos, so many things going on. I forget sometimes, but we talked about a rock supergroup, or really a supergroup in general, any genre. You guys chose two genres. You had 6 slots. It's almost like if you were walking along and you found this lamp, and in this case, it would be a lava lamp because it's rock and roll, right? So you see this, you rub it, genie comes out, gives you a wish, you can create a rock supergroup. And it'd be too easy to make it so that you could just pull everybody down who's passed on. Make it a little challenging to think about who it is today, give you one superpower. And so what I want to do is a community vote and actually have 5 slots. We'll just do your typical lead singer, bassist, keyboardist, drummer. Well, let's do 6 slots because we have to have 2 guitarists. So 2 guitarists, bassist, drummer, keyboardist, lead singer. So 6. And I want to figure that out as a community. And so we're going to have a poll every single day. So on this live stream, what I wanted to do is go down. I read a lot of your comments. I was really entertained. Some great groups out there. And I wanted to give a shout out to Eli Petzold. I hope I'm saying your name right. He had one of the best groups. It really got me thinking. His vocalist, his lead vocalist is Steve Perry. His lead guitar is Eddie Van Halen. On bass, he had Geddy Lee, phenomenal. Keyboard, Stevie Wonder, and drums, Ringo Starr. And he put, damn, I can't put Neil Peart. I love that. So I thought that was a great group. Stevie Wonder, of course, a musical genius, and he definitely would be in my top 3 for sure. And then we had other comments like Danny Spitzer, just basically named every member of Led Zeppelin, which, hey, that works. Other people named every member of Journey, and I think that there was one that named every member of The Who. Anyway, you get the picture. One of my favorite comments, though, hilarious, is a guy, Violator, with an 8 in it. Maybe it's a little tribute to Depeche Mode here. I don't know. But he wrote, I'll give you the world's crappiest supergroup. Fred Durst at vocals, Lil Wayne at guitar. Wow. Pete Wentz at bass, Peter Criss at drums, produced by Corey Feldman. And then Mr. Blutowski says one day ago, easy. He answers the question, easy. Def Leppard circa 1983, but they only do covers of Hanson tunes. Wow, that would really suck. Anyway, so great comments. A lot of people, the way I looked at my group and built my group was more based on the Traveling Wilburys. You know, we had a lot of songwriters together, a lot of vocalists. Obviously, if we're going for somebody who's technically proficient at their instrument, I would have a totally different lineup. But I leave it to you, the community here. I'm going to read some of the comments as we're going on here. But I want to start with just go down the list, throw out some lead vocalists, throw out guitarists, throw out bassists, discuss them. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have a couple of people here at POR. I'm going to go through all the comments from today, from a couple of days ago as well. And we're going to count up the votes of who was listed the most. And we didn't realize this until a couple of days ago. We thought with the YouTube poll that you could actually do, 7 or 8 choices, but you can only do 5. So that's why we didn't have a box that you could check. I think it looked like it was a 3-way contest between Cream, the Traveling Wilburys, and it was really 2-way between those two. Well, a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young as well. A lot of people hit me up for not talking about electronic. Johnny Marr and Bernard Sumner, and of course Neil Tennant sang on a few tracks on that album, I've Got It Behind Me, classic album. I would definitely include them. One of my favorite one-offs. It wasn't really a one-off because they actually released a couple albums, 3 albums actually. But anyway, I digress. if you catch me on my Patreon page, I release a couple of videos every week, and I just digress all the time. I put up my iPhone, and I swear that I'm only going to do a 10-minute video, and it always turns into 20 or 25 minutes, and usually I'm going off on a tangent about music, and I end up all different kinds of places. But anyway, we'll try to stick to it right here, because I know that you guys have the presidential debates to get to. That should be must-see TV for some people. We're not going to talk politics here. We only talk music. Only if it has to do with music. But my rule here, very inclusive. I don't really care who you're voting for. I care what's in your record collection. I saw that meme a few years ago. I thought that was great. You're not going to be judged by the color of your skin, by your religion, by your beliefs. You're going to be judged by the contents of your record collection, which is the way it should be, really. Anyway, here we go. We're going to go in, and so we'll go in and count up all the votes for today and yesterday, or a couple days ago, and we will put the top 5 choices in a poll, and we'll start like tomorrow. Well, we'll probably give it about 24 hours. I think we should probably start this on Thursday. Thursday morning, you're going to see a poll. We'll start with probably lead singer. We'll go to guitarist. We'll do 2 sets for guitarists, and then we'll do bass and keyboards and drums. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these greats. They're still alive, and again, we could still give a superpower to one of these members. Maybe we give superpowers to all these members. What do you guys think? I'll leave it up to you. Whoever has the most votes, if we should give superpowers to every member, then we'll do it. And we got to get creative here. It can't be just all of Led Zeppelin. It can't be all of Journey. That's not a supergroup. That group already exists. We got to do something really spectacular here. This is Professor of Rock Supergroup, which it's kind of cool. The last couple of days as we've done some pieces. We did a piece on Boston last week, and I got hit up by a member of Boston about that. I'm actually supposed to talk with this person. Anyway, pretty cool. We'll see where that leads. But that happens a lot. We'll talk about a song, or we'll talk about a band. Of course, I've interviewed a lot of people anyway. We're always getting interviews. And by the way, on Friday, I am interviewing Liberty DeVito, Billy Joel's longtime drummer, formerly with Billy Joel, from mid-'70s all the way up to the 2000s, and played on all those classic albums. And if you have any questions that you would like for me to ask, let me know. Reach out, tell me. Definitely going to go through the great albums, from The Stranger to An Innocent Man. To me, I think that was the classic period. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it. Okay, so let's start with lead singer. I made a little bit of list just off the top of my head right before I started. I had like an hour to go, or an hour before this was about to start. And I'm like, man, I got to start typing out, and just top of mind, just type in anything that would come into my mind. So if I've forgotten somebody, let me know on the side here. And okay, lead singer. First person I wrote down was Steve Perry. What does that tell you? So Steve Perry, Sammy Hagar, Robert Plant, Lou Gramm, Ann Wilson, Stevie Nicks, Bob Dylan, Steven Tyler. You can tell who were some of the ones that come to my mind first. And then some of these are just start throwing out. Don Henley. I mean, Don Henley is a drummer, so you could use him as your drummer. But gosh, what a distinct voice. Roger Daltrey. Come on. Eddie Vedder, going a little 90s there. Bob Seger. Are you kidding me? Bob Seger, he truly has one of the great voices in rock history. I really believe that. I can't get enough of Bob Seger. And we're going to do a piece on him very soon. Paul Simon. I guess you could put him. I just saw somebody say Cliff Burton on bass. Lee Sklar on bass for sure. I definitely wrote him down. So you can use Don Henley as your drummer. I just saw somebody comment on that. And then of course you got to have Brian Johnson in there. Brian Johnson, Axl Rose. John Bon Jovi, if you could give him the superpower, I mean, John Bon Jovi, and those notes he hit in Living on a Prayer, tremendous. John Fogerty. And here's the thing, and I'm going to digress for a second here, and we'll get back into lead singer. I have always been someone who has just had a deep love for all music. And some people will make the comment, why do you call yourself the Professor Rock? Well, first of all, I don't call myself that. That was a title that was given as kind of a nickname. And the TV station I was working on the show with many years ago, the general manager jumped right on that. Oh, that's what we're going to call you, Professor Rock. So I didn't really have a say because I wasn't really comfortable with that. I'd rather just be Adam Reeder. But anyway, it stuck, and that's the way it goes. But a lot of people will say, you cover a lot of pop, and you cover R&B and not rock and roll. And we all have different opinions on this, but to me, rock and roll was a term that a long time ago it came about, but in the 50s is when it really came to fruition, became mainstream, when Elvis Presley broke through, and Little Richard and Chuck Berry and the Everly Brothers and Jerry Lee Lewis, and we could go on and on and on. Rock and roll covered R&B, country western, pop, all of those things, and all of the genres that followed after. I love everything, so I love Toto as much as I love the Clash, and I love them for different reasons. When I was growing up, it was like you had to choose. You had to be, I remember this because I was into glam metal, hair metal. I get in trouble when I say hair metal. That's just the word that the media gave it, but glam metal. I was really into that, loved it. Skid Row and Warrant and all that kind of stuff. And of course, discovering new wave and getting way into that. But listening to the Top 40 Countdown with Casey Kasem, I'm just a product of that. I grew up on that. I really listened to it since about 81 or 82, since I can remember. And so I've always just had this eclectic taste in music. And it really is the decade that I grew up in, the 80s. I mean, a lot of you out there are huge fans of the 80s. And it was such a great time in music because of that, because you could turn on Top 40 radio and you could hear Skid Row, and then you could also hear Stevie Wonder and on and on and on. Human League and Janet Jackson. It just went all over the place. And that was what was great about it. And so when I talk about some of this stuff, I don't want to put a label on it. To me, I like all kinds of music. Is it good or is it bad? That's really what it comes down to. So anyway, back into it. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. So you got John Bon Jovi, you got John Fogerty, Brian Johnson, Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, come on, one of the most distinct voices ever. Ozzy at his peak, I mean, come on, it's over. Mick Jagger, great frontman, great voice. Barry Gibb, that falsetto, incredible. Neil Young, I think you could definitely put a guitar. So maybe we'll nix him for lead singer because he's such a great guitarist. Neil Diamond, love Neil Diamond. Who doesn't love Neil Diamond? Tell me now. Forever hold your peace. David Gilmour would definitely fit for me, but he would fit under guitar. But I love his voice. I think he's just got such a tremendous voice. Rod Stewart, come on. Bruce Dickinson, love Bruce Dickinson. Lenny Kravitz, guy that can really do anything. Got a great voice for soul and funk and also for rock and roll. His version of American Woman is great. Pat Benatar, Bonnie Raitt. I started thinking about females. Bonnie Raitt would fit under guitar probably more. Deborah Harry, incredible. Sade, Chrissy Hine, Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight, seriously, just maybe top 5 voice living on the earth right now, in my opinion. I'm blown away by that voice. You watch a song like, I think I've talked about this before, but That's What Friends Are For, which when it came out, people thought it was a little cheesy, but And I mean, so much talent on that song. You had Stevie Wonder, you had Gladys, you had Dionne Warwick, and of course, Elton John. And it just seemed like Gladys Knight stepped up to that microphone and blew everybody out of the water. And it kind of made Elton up his game, you know. Keep smiling. I mean, he was going to town there, but I think that was definitely motivated by Gladys. You know, she's just incredible. And I wonder what she would sound like as a rocker, you know, with a great band behind her. That would be pretty amazing, I think. Okay, so Gladys Knight, Annie Lennox, Amy Lee. I really like Amy Lee. I think she's got a great voice. Sarah McLachlan. I think she was incredible. Natalie Merchant, always a big fan. Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs. Susie and the Banshees. Tina Turner. I'll tell you, now I'm going to throw out a couple of dark horses, people that I don't feel like get the respect that they deserve as lead singer. And I would love for you to open your mind to this. Kate Bush. I've talked about her before. At her peak, Kate Bush could go toe-to-toe with anyone. And her creativity as a songwriter, just as a creator in general, she's amazing. Another one that I think that is underrated, and maybe you've heard of her, but the Sundays. Remember the band The Sundays? Harriet Wheeler. I always loved her voice. Always loved her voice. And another one that can rock, that can really rock. It's switching gears here a little bit, is Peter Cetera. Talked about Peter Cetera before. And I'm going to go also Elizabeth Fraser from Cocteau Twins. Seriously. Mind-blowing, mind-altering vocals from Elizabeth. And then, of course, you can't leave out like Cyndi Lauper, Grace Slick. Shirley Manson, I thought, was great in the 90s. And then, you know, we haven't talked about Huey Lewis, John Mellencamp, Daryl Hall. Daryl Hall and Huey Lewis. I mean, you watch We Are the World, and that shows you, if you ever have somebody that wants to start an argument, I have a younger brother that always says, "Oh, music from the 80s sucks." You know, our music, the music now, they have more talent than they've ever had. And I just roll my eyes. But all you got to do is play We Are the World. And then play the We Are the World from the Haiti, when they were raising money for Haiti, and compare those two. And you don't even need to say anything. You know? Okay, I've got some comments here. Olivia Newton-John, definitely. I love Olivia Newton-John. Jeff Buckley, for sure. Certainly. So let's see here. I'm going to look at some of the... Bjork. Yeah, Bjork. As a lead singer with a rock band behind, I mean, the Sugar Cubes, wow. Birthday. Gosh, that song. Okay, so, yeah, definitely getting the Bono. Don McLean. And, okay, so... But let's talk about that for just a minute. Let's talk about Daryl Hall. Let's talk about, oh my gosh, we've already been going for 19 minutes. All right, I got to get going. Okay, so Daryl Hall. I mean, when you hear that We Are the World, where it goes, you know, Kenny Loggins, and you know, and it goes, what is it? It's you know, it goes from like Bruce Springsteen to Kenny Loggins. And I got to remember off the top of my head here. Was Daryl Hall, and then you also heard. Huey Lewis, you know, and Cyndi Lauper. The power of those voices, just incredible. Michael Jackson, as it go there, and Peter Gabriel. He was my lead singer when I put together my band for New Wave. Peter Gabriel, Smokey Robinson. Think of what Smokey Robinson would sound like with a great rock band behind him. I don't know. Very interesting. I've already said Barry Gibb, Peter Cetera, Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, which we could probably put him at keys. David Gahan, no question. You want somebody who's got a great voice, that baritone, and just one of the greatest frontmen of the last 30 years. There you go. And then you've got Steve Winwood, which you could also put him at keyboard. David Byrne, Melissa Etheridge, Joan Jett, Jackson Brown, Andy Bell from Erasure, who doesn't get the props that he deserves. Mickey Thomas, I just saw somebody say that. That's actually where I was going next. Absolutely. You know, Mickey Thomas. Mickey Thomas is one of the most underrated, most underappreciated vocalists ever. You listen to what he is singing on those songs. It's incredible. There are not many singers who could hit those notes and hit them with such panache. I mean, he's just incredible. And then you've got Jim Kerr from Simple Minds. Jim Kerr is amazing. Unpopular opinion. They have similar voices. If I was pushed, boy, Bono or Jim Kerr, that'd be tough for me because I'm a huge Simple Minds fan. I love you two as well. But anyway, so Bryan Adams, he's taken a beating from the critics back in the day. I think he's got a great voice, and I think he's awesome. Bono, Ray Davies is incredible. Steve Walsh from Kansas. Are you for real? I mean, Burton Cummings, another one that doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Guess who? I've actually interviewed Burton, and great guy, but what a voice. Seriously. So what have I forgotten? Who have I forgotten in vocalists? Sting. Somebody said Sting. I'm covering Sting in my bass because he's definitely going to be. Peter Cox. I agree. Somebody just said Peter Cox, and had the opportunity to interview him a little while ago. And great guy, but what a voice. I agree. Very soulful. I'm getting a text message from one of my people here. Okay. Oh, he's telling me, I want to thank Francisco for the $5 donation. Thank you very much. That was very, very, very thoughtful. I'm looking the best I can. I did say Sammy Hagar. Sammy is great. And if they're at their peak, David Lee Roth, he could hold it down. He anybody that can do the splits in midair, he's got my vote for opportunity to be a lead vocalist on our supergroup. Okay, I will come back. Somebody said Ali Campbell. I've actually interviewed Ali, UB40. David Coverdale, definitely. I shouldn't have left him out. That was just Tommy Shaw, Kevin Cronin. Kevin Cronin, great guy. I love Kevin. Again, great. Thank you. I need your help on this end. Paul Rogers. Are you kidding me? How did I leave Paul Rogers out? Paul Rogers is top 5 for me. Paul Rogers, top 5. I just Richard Page, Mr. Definitely. I'm going to count him in the bass guitar. Okay, so let's jump back in. Let's jump into bass really quick. We're about 24 minutes in, and I definitely said I would be out of here in 30. You guys okay if we go 40? We'll still get you to the debates on time if that's what you're looking for. Okay, so bass. I'm going to go with this is, again, just top of mind. I was writing things down, and I need your help with this. Bass guitar, Sting was my first thought there. Richard Page from Mr. Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, if he's not in the top 5, I'm quitting. Seriously. I mean, how could you not have a super group of Paul McCartney? I mean, just the songwriting alone, what he would bring to the table as your bassist, as a vocalist. Duff from Guns N' Roses, you got to go with Duff. Kim Deal. Kim Deal's incredible. Saw her live, and it was tremendous. Love Kim Deal. Peter Hook. Definitely got to go with Peter Hook as one of our choices. Leland Sklar, which actually, you guys probably already know this, but Leland Sklar has a really cool YouTube channel where he talks about, I'm going to do an interview with him coming up, but he's got a great channel you got to check out. It's really cool. Mike Watt. Are there anybody out there that's a Mike Watt fan? I got to tell you, one of my favorite interviews, I interviewed Mike Watt about Minutemen, and I had an hour of just talking to him about D Boon. So many cool stories. I don't know if there's any fans out there of that band. There should be, because they're incredible. But that's a great interview that I can't wait to release to you guys someday. Kim Gordon is definitely up there. Sonic Youth. Pino Palladino. Excuse me. I have some great stories about Pino from all the interviews I've done. Who people have talked about when they needed a bassist, that was speed dial. They had Pino on speed dial, and he came in and just always did a perfect job. John McVie, of course, Les Claypool. What discussion about a bass guitarist? It's not a discussion at all without Les Claypool. Geddy Lee. Geddy Lee better be in the top 5. Okay. Again, like Paul McCartney, if he's not in the top 5, I'm quitting. So let's vote on Geddy Lee there. Tina from Talking Heads, always had great bass lines. Bill Wyman, the great Bill Wyman. Flea, going a little 90s here. Geezer Butler from Sabbath. Geezer's incredible. Verdine White, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You got to go with Verdine. John Paul Jones, who actually was interviewing Ann Wilson. She has some really cool stories from working with John Paul Jones. He worked on Hard Album with them, and she said that she and Nancy would just sit there and just beg. My light's kind of flickering out here. They would sit there and just beg John Paul Jones to tell them stories about Zeppelin, and they were just like fangirls, just in disbelief. So, okay, so then we've got Phil Lesh, Larry Graham, Carol Kay, Bootsy Collins, Michael Anthony. What discussion about bass without Michael Anthony? Just the background vocals alone. And Michael Anthony, it's a thing that he never got the respect that he deserved. Those background vocals, seriously, Michael Anthony all the way. Adam Clayton. Okay, who else? Well, Jack Bruce, of course, but he's passed away. He would definitely be in my top 3. Andrew Ridgely from Wham, sure. Yeah. Let's see, Peter Hook. I'm just reading some of your comments here. John. Oh, yeah, of course, John Taylor. John Taylor goes without saying. John Taylor, Duran Duran. Top 5 for me all time for sure. Those bass lines on Rio, it's incredible. Let's see. So we've got John Deacon, Mark King, level 42. Absolutely. Yeah, Chris Squire, he's passed away. He would definitely be in my top 5. By the time I get done naming the top 5, I'm gonna have like 15 people. That's what my wife always says to me when I say I'll be driving with the kids. Song will come on. I'll say, guys, this is your dad's favorite song of all time. This is the greatest song, and I'll start telling them all this kind of stuff, and they'll say, my wife says, honey, you have like 597 songs in your top 10. Or I'll say, this is my top 10 of all time. She says that. Now my kids are on to me. They're like, Dad, you have like 1,000 songs in your top 10. So it's like that joke in Mr. Mom where it's like, kids, I think they're on to me. Anyway, okay, so who else have I missed from where did I get the giant cassette tape? This one here or the cassette table? Nathan East, definitely. I just saw Nathan East. He's definitely. Andy Rourke, of course. If I talk about everybody here, we'll be here forever. But we're actually up to 30 minutes, and I've probably got 10, 15 minutes left here. So, yeah, David Hungate, definitely. I've interviewed him. A great guy. Greg Lake, of course. Okay, so I'm getting off subject here. The tape table. This is actually a tape table as well. I just used it as the background vocal. It actually sits down, and where the lights are coming out in the reel, that's actually a cup holder. We didn't even know that it lit up. I had it for like 5 years before I knew that it lit up. So we were pretty excited when we plugged that in. So anyway, yeah, so that is, it says on it right there, table, Tayble. I don't know if you can see, I think it's being covered, but it says 60 minutes on the side, and it says table. So yeah, it's a little table. There's legs for it, and we've used it. And then I've got the tape table, the cassette tape table. It's got all those cassettes on it. And, maybe we should give that away as a prize, for, think about that. It's a prize for some kind of a competition that we do. I'll have to think through that. Anyway, let's get back to it. Let's jump into Guitarist. If I've left anybody out on bass, my apologies. Definitely leave it in the comments and we'll get to it. Because again, you guys are going to be voting on this. So this is all, everything you put in the comments, anytime you put anybody in there, that's going to count for a vote. So keep commenting. Okay, so Guitarist. Eddie Van Halen. That was the first one that I wrote down. And then Steve Lukather, of course. Neil Schon. Those are three of my favorite guitarists of all time. If you're just talking balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, melt your face off, guitarists that are living, those would be the three. I love Luke, and I know, and I love that you guys get it. You get that Toto is so incredible, because as a kid, I loved Toto so much, and I would get people at school would make fun of me, and you know, and Rolling Stone always had something rude to say about him. I had a subscription to Rolling Stone, and sometimes I just kind of throw it in the corner. I get so frustrated because they were always all about what was cool, you know, and I don't know why Toto wouldn't be considered cool. I mean, you've heard what Eddie Van Halen said about Steve Lukather when they've said, how does it feel to be the greatest living guitarist? And he said, I don't know, you'd have to ask Steve Lukather. I mean, that tells you right there what it's all about. Luke is amazing, great person as well. When you meet your heroes and they're better than what you had in your mind, it's the greatest thing in the world. And that's happened so many times. And Luke is just an example of that. But phenomenal guitarist. I mean, anybody who's seen Toto live gets it. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. And the work that he did on Thriller, he doesn't get enough credit for that. Okay, so Bruce Springsteen I threw in there as well. Steve Vai. Steve Vai is just mind-altering. Just when you see Steve Vai soloing and playing, you just think, it's not possible. My brain can't even process what you're playing. It's just, it's nuts. Jerry Cantrell, definitely. Phil Collin. I threw Billy Corgan in here. Lizzie Hell. I think Lizzie Hell's incredible. Hi, Professor from Virginia. It's JE23508, 23508. Thank you so much for that. That's very, very kind of you. Okay, so yeah, so getting back to it, Lizzie Hell. I've actually done a long-ranging interview with Lizzie Hell that we'll release down the road, but she's out there making it happen right now when rock is suffering out there with everybody. I mean, I could go on and on forever about top 40 countdown, the music that's on the top 40 right now. Okay, just got a message here. Yep. Okay. So Tom Morello. You got to throw Tom in there for Rage alone. Rage Against the Machine, incredible. Slash. It blows my mind that Sweet Child of Mine was that it was a little tip of the hat, a little bit inspired by Baker Street. That just blew my mind as a kid when I heard that, because I love Baker Street so much. And I think I think Slash is amazing. I think he really has respect for those who came before him and respects music. I think it's awesome. Billy Corgan, Lizzie Hell. Okay, let's see. Joe Satriani, of course, Satch. Got to give Satch credit. Great interview this week on Rick Beato with Joe. I didn't know who Rick Beato was until about 5 months ago, and I'm just blown away. The guy's amazing. It's amazing what he does and how he breaks those songs down. I just have a lot of respect for him, and I think my thing is that anybody out there like Rick, or myself, or so many others out there that are keeping the music alive, I just have all respect, because it's our job to pass this on to the next generation. I'm digressing a little bit here, but it's our job to pass that on. Why this music is so great, because if we don't pass it on, if we don't let them hear this music, our kids, then they're going to listen to some of this music that I just don't feel like it feeds their soul or feeds their brain. I'm not going to go off on pop music and be one of those, old men get off my lawn kind of thing. But I just think that I really try to open my mind to music, and I have tried to open my mind to top 40. Some of these artists that are really popular. I'm not going to say a name, but there was an artist that broke a bunch of records about a year ago and was in the news. And I and I couldn't believe it. He was beating she was beating the Beatles records and things like that. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to open my mind to this and really listen. And 3 different times I listened for like 15 minutes each time. And I just didn't get it. It just didn't do it just didn't move my soul. It didn't do anything for my gut or my belly, And we like what we like, but and I'm not saying new music isn't great, because I love the 1975. I love the Killers, Coldplay. I think there's some really great stuff. A lot of it you won't hear on Top 40, but I think that it's a great opportunity out there right now for bands to just take all of these influences and make something really fresh. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that, but okay, so I'm going to read some of your, I was going to say John McLaughlin, Mahavishnu Orchestra. And actually, I have a bunch of stories from Narda Michael Walden about John. And I'm going to share those because they're really cool. The way that Narda got into Mahavishnu when Billy Cobham had left. And we'll talk about that. So Jeff Beck, obviously Jeff Beck, he ought to be top 5, top 10 for sure. Buddy Guy, Jack White, Joe Walsh, Lindsey Buckingham. I want to stop and talk about Lindsey for a second. I might have a little surprise for you in the future when it comes to Lindsey Buckingham. I'll let you know. But Lindsey Buckingham is, in my mind, the most underrated guitarist in the history of the whole thing. What he does with finger picking, he's irreplaceable. He just is. And I know that, and I'm not saying that, I shouldn't have said irreplaceable, because there's the two that replaced him in Fleetwood Mac, who I have a great respect for. But Mike Campbell and Neil. I've interviewed a lot of people. Kenny Loggins, for example. Kenny Loggins said, my mind has just always been blown by Lindsey Buckingham and what he has done. So anyway, Lindsey Buckingham, let's talk about, so Lindsey, talk about Mike Campbell. I mean, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and a great songwriter too. What, The Heart of the Matter, Boys of Summer. This guy has written some of the great songs of all time. Stephen Stills, you got to give it up to Stephen Stills, who I think might have been Franco, is it Franco or Franco Blondie, $2, my music buddy that I never met. We could talk. We definitely could talk. That's what I love about this. But I want to go a step further, and we're going to do that in Patreon. We're actually going to do a radio show where I can talk to you guys once a month and take phone calls and do a radio show, because I want to talk to you. I want to actually go back and forth. Oh, $10 from Alan Lind. Thanks for what you were doing. Really appreciate and enjoy your efforts and interviews. Thank you so much. Truly, you guys in this community. It means so much to me that you're interested. This is all, we've always done this all for just keeping the music alive, keeping the flame, and really doing the genealogy of rock and roll for sure. And, it's important to capture this before these, we hope that they live forever, and their songs always will, but it's important to capture this. So anyway, I really appreciate it. I didn't even know that people donated. I thought you did a live stream. Anyway, that's cool. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go back in. Derek Trucks. I've interviewed Derek Trucks, believe it or not. I'll have to release that down the road. Great guy, and Susan Tedeschi as well. Just incredible together. And let's see, where did I leave off? Joe Bonamassa. I've interviewed Joe as well. Frank, you're wearing the same shirt I have on. Hilarious. Oh my gosh, I'm wearing the same shirt as you. That's cool. So going on, Ry Cooder, Joe Bonamassa, talk about him for a minute. A guy that kept the blues alive, kept blues going. I mean, I read this article on him about 10 years ago, and I was just blown away. People are telling, nobody's going to pay to see the blues. How wrong they were. Anyway, just Carlos Santana. Carlos is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met, regardless if he could play the guitar. He just is such an amazing soul. I had an opportunity to interview him Actually, Neil Sean set it up, and uh, and it was such a privilege to sit down with Carlos. I just think that the way he sees the world is his energy is just amazing, and he can play the guitar. It's like Steve Vai. Your mind can't believe what it's seeing. Anyway, your eyes can't believe what it's seeing. Your mind can't process it. Okay, so Eric Clapton, of course. Even though I'm bringing up Eric Clapton in the middle, there's not enough words in the English language to describe how incredible Eric Clapton is. Tom Scholz, we just talked about Boston. I mean, Tom Scholz is a genius in the studio, and More Than a Feeling is absolutely because of that genius. And so you can't give enough credit to him. Elliot Easton from the Cars, again, I don't think he's one of those guitarists I don't think gets the credit that he deserves. I put James Taylor in here, though he'd probably fit more at lead vocal. The Edge, Alex Lifeson. What list? List wouldn't be a list without Alex Lifeson. He definitely should be in the top 10. And Robert Smith, got to throw Robert Smith in there. The Cure. On vocals, I didn't put Morrissey in there. Morrissey would definitely be in my vocalist. I know that politically he said some things that people aren't happy about. But we're just talking about the music here, and you take what he did with the Smiths but the problem with Morrissey is you probably wouldn't get along with a lot of people, and there'd be some friction there. And if you put Johnny Marr in your lineup, then that's not going to work. So anyway, I already talked about that on the thing, but Johnny Marr, Peter Buck from REM. Now we haven't talked about REM, but they're one of my favorite bands of all time. Top 5 for me, just tremendous. In fact, Michael Stipe would be in my lead vocals for sure. I mean, he's just so expressive. Just incredible. So Dave Davies, Steve Jones, Sex Pistols, Jonesy. Yeah, I can't forget about Jonesy. Roger McGuinn. Okay, DJ Patrick. He says, stumbled in your channel and found your interviews insightful and entertaining. You have me listening for life. You bring a Casey Kasem style to the current masses. Thanks so much for all you do. Oh, that's a huge compliment. I love Casey Kasem. As you know, I have a great love for him. Thank you so much. Elliot Easton, I agree. So underrated. Elliot Easton, seriously, Cars, just so great. Okay, so Steve Jones, Johnny Marr, Bonnie Raitt, James Hetfield. Got to put Hetfield in there. Andy Summers. Are you trying to stop saying, are you kidding me? It's just how I react when a certain name comes up. But Andy Summers, Stuart Copeland always gets the credit he deserves, I think, and he definitely being a drummer. Sting definitely does. Andy Summers, seriously, he's just mind-boggling. Okay, so Andy Summers, John Frusciante, you gotta give credit for that right there. Joe Perry, Richie Sambora, Robbie Krieger, The Doors, John McLaughlin, we already talked about. Brian Setzer. Guy brought rockabilly back in right in the middle of the 80s. Stray Cats. I love Brian, and I've had a chance to interview him, and I hope to release that down the road. But Setzer and his playing is just out of sight. Just amazing. Robert Fripp. Dickie Betts, Robbie Robertson, Richie Blackmore, Keith Richards, Nikki Sixx, talking about Kirk Hammett, Pete Townsend, David Gilmour, Neil Young, Angus Young, AC/DC. Angus ought to be in the top 5 for sure. I hope he is. Tony Iommi, Brian May. Brian May needs to be in the top 10. Man, there's so many great guitarists that are still living. Forget about rock and roll heaven. Seriously, we have enough right now to keep us going. My gosh, this is incredible. Steve Cropper, Mark Knopfler, Johnny Greenwood, Radiohead, great modern guitarist. Billy Gibbons. Who'd I leave out? Rick Emmett. Let's see, who else? Looking at this. Neil Giraldo, sure. Pat Benatar's husband. Jeff Healey, Rest in peace. Yep. Eric Johnson for sure. Who else? I said Joe Walsh. No worries. Alan Parsons. Oh, let's see. I can't see that. It's too small. Jimi Hendrix, of course, is number one, but he's gone. He's passed away. We can't use him. Paul Gilbert. I definitely was going to talk about Paul Gilbert at some point. Yep. Yeah, Collective Soul, Ed Roland. I've interviewed Ed, and let me tell you something. Ed Roland is one of the best guys in rock, all of rock. Just such a down-to-earth, great guy. Kip Winger, sure. Jay Graydon. Oh, yeah, Jay Graydon is incredible. Vivian Campbell, sure. Def Leppard, Johnny Winter. Nuno Bentoncourt, for sure. Mick Jones from Bad Audio Dynamite. Bad, oh, yeah, and The Clash, for sure. Lita Ford, I agree. Okay, so let's jump into keyboards. Anybody I've left out, you're definitely, and I apologize if I have. I've just, this was an hour before. I should have prepared better, but I had a bunch of stuff due that I was trying to get done. So let's jump into keyboards. So keyboards, piano, Billy Joel, first one that came down. Billy Joel, always been one of my favorites of all time. I named my son after him. Can you believe I named my son William Morrissey Reader? I wanted to go William Morrissey Joel Reader, and my wife was not having it. She was not going to do that. So anyway, Billy Joel. Bruce Hornsby. Do we have anybody that adores Bruce Hornsby out there as much as I do? Bruce Hornsby, there's something about the way that he plays the piano that is unlike anyone I've ever heard. And to me, his music, and we're definitely going to cover him because Bruce Hornsby, I've been a fan since The Way It Is came out, since 1986. As a little kid, I remember going out, spending my allowance to buy that album. And I loved every song on it. And then he, of course, Scenes from the South Side was the next one. I loved every song on that as well. The thing about Bruce is he's gone all over the place. Definitely a guy that you cannot peg. You cannot peg Bruce Hornsby. He can do anything. And although my heart is still with those early records, I still love what he does. I think it's really cool what he does. Every album, you're going to get something out of left field, some surprise. $5 from I hope I say your name right, sir. Sakaki Onsai. I apologize if I didn't get your name right. I want to get it right. And yeah, I agree. Night on the Town is such a great album. Those first 5 albums to me are just about flawless. Just about flawless. I know it's not for everyone, but I need to get off because we've been going for almost an hour here. But I can't say enough about Bruce Hornsby. I was just listening to a playlist the other night. It's fall music to me. His music reminds me of autumn. It reminds me of the fall. Anyway, Howard Jones. We just did a piece on him yesterday. Howard Jones is incredible. And and when I'm talking about nice guys in the industry, Howard Jones is just such a humble, such a great guy. He's the kind of guy that if you saw, he just walk up and say hi to you, just very friendly, and has written some of the greatest music of the 80s. No One Is to Blame, and Things Can Only Get Better. I mean, these are songs that just move you. They move your soul. Martin Gore. I have always loved Martin Gore. I used to grow out my hair curly, mop top, just to be like Martin Gore. And there's something about him. He's just such a great songwriter. I have a little surprise for you Depeche Mode fans down the road when it comes to that. Elton John. No serious conversation about piano or keyboards can be had without Sir Elton John. Goes without saying. Steve Winwood. Just simply one of my favorite voices ever. In fact, we have a piece on Steve Winwood that's going to be coming out soon. So look for that. Tony Banks. We just talked about Tony Banks the other day. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder should have been the first name I threw out. I really believe he is one of the only musical geniuses left on this earth. I think there's Brian Wilson. I think there's Stevie Wonder, and I would put Brian Wilson in keyboards here as well. But Brian Wilson, Stevie Wonder, and Paul McCartney, I would say, are musical geniuses where I'm talking about they can sing, they can play, they can do everything as far as that goes. And that's a topic for another day. We'll definitely be talking about that. Dennis DeYoung. Dennis DeYoung, great keyboard player, great voice. Herbie Hancock. Anyway, definitely, he's amazing. Keith Emerson, no discussion about keyboards again without the great Keith Emerson. Rick Wakeman, Jonathan Cain, interviewed Jonathan. He's a great guy. John Lord from Deep Purple. I mean, just tremendous. Michael McDonald, sensational. One of the greatest voices ever. We talk about it around my house all the time. Who can do their best Michael McDonald impersonation? Anyway, you get the point. You probably do the same thing. Love Michael McDonald, the captain, the co-captain of Yacht Rock, along with Kenny Loggins. And Roy Bittan. I've always loved Roy Bittan. It's so great as part of the E Street Band. Let's see, Rod Argent from the Zombies. I think he's incredible as well. Brian Eno. Can't give enough credit to Brian Eno, the real professor of rock. I've heard him actually called that back in the past. Booker T. Jones. You got to give it up to Booker T. Jones. Just incredible. Felix Cavaliere. Felix Cavaliere, the Rascals. I'm actually really surprised. People don't know the Rascals. When I was a kid, I knew every Rascals song. Any fans of the Rascals out there? Because to me, the Rascals, like Good Lovin' and Beautiful Morning, and seriously, Rascals, Young Rascals, they were called the Young Rascals at first and then changed to Rascals. They were such a great band, very tight. And I've done a 2-hour interview with Felix, and he's great. We're going to release that down the road. But I'm blown away that I'll tell people. I remember when I was getting ready to interview him, I was like, man, I'm interviewing Felix Cavaliere, and they're like, who's that? Well, the Rascals. Never heard of them. I don't understand that. That's the way it is with the Byrds, too. A lot of people have never heard the Byrds. Roger McGuinn, they know who David Crosby is because of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but they don't know the Byrds. And we should do a piece on that sometime. Why? Because when the Beatles were around, the Beach Boys and the Stones, the Byrds, the Rascals, the Animals, they were right there in that conversation. Anyway, I digress. So Dennis DeYoung, okay, so Rick Davies, Supertramp, credible. Roger Hodgson as well. Donald Fagen. Come on, Donald Fagen, Steely Dan. I love Steely Dan. Love me some Steely Dan. Greg Hawkes from the Cars, which we have a little tip of the hat to him coming up. And Randy Newman. Ben Folds, great modern rock pianist, keyboardist, and Carole King, the great Carole King. So that's what I've got right now. Let's read some of the Donald Fagen, musical genius. He's right there for sure. I wouldn't call him. I don't know. I'm particular about who I call musical genius. Prince being one, but Burton Cummings. Yep, I agree. Burton Cummings, Bill Champlin for sure. Okay, we're gonna wind it down here to our last category. Man, I've been going for a while. Drummer. Okay, so first name that came to my mind is Phil Collins. Now I know that Phil has a hard time playing the drums right now for various reasons, but the mighty Phil, when he could play, could go to toe with just about anybody. And Travis Barker, great modern drummer. Larry Mullen Jr., Phil Rudd from AC/DC. Kenny Aronoff, Chad Smith, got to throw Chad Smith out there. Clem Burke from Blondie, Mick Fleetwood. Might be a little something with Mick Fleetwood coming up. Oh, by the way, music. Trying to read that. Music Guy LA. Music Guy LA. You're an inspiration to us kids over 40 who want to have a slice of the millennial pie. Oh, thank you so much. There's a little donation there. I really appreciate that. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. So Alex Van Halen. Alex Van Halen, tremendous. Sheila E. Sheila E. is awesome. A chance to interview her many years ago. And I asked her about We Are the World because she was there. And I've been trying to do this thing, which you guys will see here in the next few years. I've actually planned this out. It's a grand scheme that I have of how I've approached all these interviews. I ask little questions that will take me 10 years to release the content, but I've basically connected dots between people I've been interviewing. And one of them is We Are the World. I have little stories from a lot of people who are involved in We Are the World. And I remember, I'll give you a little tidbit from what Sheila E. said. She's like, I was in a session all night. I don't remember anything about We Are the World. If you look on the cover of We Are the World and in the video, I have sunglasses on. And the reason I have sunglasses on is because I'm pretty much asleep. Can you imagine being asleep? You're in a room with Stevie Wonder and Bob Dylan and Ray Charles and Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel, Daryl Hall, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, everybody. And you're like, oh, I'm tired. Wow. I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to speak. I wouldn't be able to move with all that talent in that room. Smokey Robinson, could go on and on and on. Incredible. Anyway, funny story. But someday I'll share the We Are the World mini documentary, which could turn into a full-fledged documentary, because I've always been curious about that many people. I mean, we're talking about supergroups, so this definitely applies. But that's the biggest supergroup of all time, if only for a few hours that they were in that room together. Can you imagine being, what were the conversations? I've talked to Huey, I've talked to Kenny, I've talked to so many people. I've got some great stories, and I definitely will share that down the road. Okay, so back into drummers. Billy Cobham, Narada Michael Walden, Matt Cameron, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. Incredible. Dave Grohl. I have so much respect for Dave Grohl. To me, the greatest modern musician overall, just the guy that keeps the flame alive. And I can't tell you, I could talk forever about how great Dave Grohl is. Carter from Dave Matthews Band. I have so many friends that swear by Dave Matthews Band, and I really respect him as well. But everybody talks about Carter Buford being just one of the greats. Jim Keltner, the great Jim Keltner. Man, played on most of George Harrison's solo stuff. It's just a guy that could go in and get it done anytime. Carmine Appice. I actually interviewed Carmine and his brother a few months ago, and I released a little part of that. But I'll release more of that because he also was a great songwriter. He was in Vanilla Fudge and with Rod Stewart. In fact, co-wrote Do You Think I'm Sexy? And so he's incredible. Steve Smith from Journey, got to throw him in there. Mickey Hart, Grateful Dead. Terry Bozzio. Terry Bozzio doesn't get enough credit. He's great. Ringo Starr, of course. Beatle, come on. And Charlie Watts. Stuart Copeland would definitely, he's got to be in the top 5, guys. You got to vote for Stuart Copeland. Okay, so who else have I forgotten? Have I forgotten Scott Crago? Taylor Hawkins, I agree. One of the great. Tico Torres, sure. For sure. Let's see. Gil Moore from Triumph. Great singer and producer, too. Yeah, Terry Bozzio is incredible. Of course, with the great Frank Zappa. Mike Portnoy, Bill Gibson, Rick Allen. I agree, Rick Allen. Zach Starkey. I've interviewed Zach. He's awesome. Great guy. And, okay, the mighty Max Weinberg. I actually have Max Weinberg on here. I think I just skipped over him somehow. Mighty Max is amazing. Lars Ulrich, sure, of course. And so, yeah. So there you have it. I just threw out some names for you there. Oh, $10 from the Jughead 77. Greetings to you, Professor. Love and respect to you from the UK. Oh, great. That's awesome. Gosh, it's got to be like 1 a.m. there. My heavens. Got to get some sleep, my friend, but I appreciate you staying up late for us here. So I'm going to let you guys go so you can go watch this crazy must-see TV tonight. But I do want to tell you, thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. we're going to start this tomorrow. So leave your comments. Leave your comments and let us know, who do you want? There's 6 slots, and we're going to vote for them. So what we're going to do is, for the next 24 hours or 36 hours, I want you to leave comments here, and then you can also leave it on the Supergroups post as well. Leave your comments. We're going to count up the most votes, and whoever the top 5 is, we'll take the top 5 for lead vocalist. We'll take 10 names for guitarists, because we've got to have 2 guitarists. We'll take 5 for bassist, 5 for keyboardist, and 5 for drummer. Maybe we'll even throw something out there for producers as well. And then we have another little surprise after that we're going to share with you. But first, we're going to go through and have a vote every single day. So each day for 24 hours, we're going to have those 5 names up there. And then you can put, you can vote for one of those 5. I'll have to find out if we can have some write-in candidates, but that might not be fair for the people that voted before. So I think at this point, we're just going to go with those 5 names. So we'll count them up. So leave your comments here and leave it on the other one. And then we'll put out the first poll on Thursday morning, probably around 11. You'll see the first poll, and we'll have that go for 24 hours, and we'll release the next one, and we'll release the schedule of who it is. We'll probably go lead singer. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll let you know. But thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all your support out there. If you want to see more, you can go out on Patreon, and we're always putting up new videos there, and your support means so much. And if you can, great. If you can't, no problem, no pressure. But we're just finding ways to do more interviews and more videos for you guys out there. And also, let us know what else you want to see out here. What other features would you like to see? We do ask some of our people on Patreon. They let us know. We do polls on there to ask, here's the next 6 or 7 we're thinking about doing. What do you think? But don't worry, we're going to get to everybody out there to keep this music alive. So love you guys so much, and really appreciate your support. And subscribe if you haven't already. Till next time, remember, 3 chords and the truth. Stay safe out there, my friends. We'll talk to you soon.